Hey all, this is Owen Tuboku, and
Jherick the Jackass, and oh, would you look at that? Mr. Abram has decided. Mr. Abrams' lens filter has decided to join us once again.
mm, well, I can do nothing about that. So I just gotta get better curtains or something.
Arizona
Yeah,
people.
but yeah, we're coming to you with the live review of episode 18 of Fullmetal Alchemist, the original Marco's Notes. And you guys probably know from my short review that I put out a couple days ago what the structure is and what it's about. So, Jherick, take it away with your thoughts as usual.
Oh, we get to have the fun moment. This is actually probably my favorite episode up to this point, just because if you've been paying attention straight from episode 1 all the way to now, you should probably already be aware that Edward should already know what he needs to make the Philosopher's Stone. It's actually kind of cute that it took him this long to figure it out, considering in the first episode, he basically more or less laid out exactly the formula he would need, just on a much smaller scale, let's say.
Oh wow, with what you told me about it, it's again the irony of the plot that
Well,
we can guess what it's at, and then you
that's
get
what
to
I
it, and it's
love
like,
about it,
oh,
though. It's brilliant because the answer was always there from the very beginning. But I love how Edward was, so focused on this one goal, this end game thing, that he wasn't really thinking about all the various things around him. He already had the answer. I mean, he's basically the kid of the guy who figured it out the first time. So of course the answers were already, available to him. But he wasn't letting himself think that way.
well, let's also not forget too, where Alphonse is a bit more spiritually open-minded. And a scientist in his own right, because I'm not saying Alphonse ain't a scientist, he is, but he's more of the spiritual versus Edward, who's more the hard edge thing. And it's been my thing, and I'm not going to bring current stuff into it because it connects to current stuff, but human hubris, essentially, thinking, all the answers, where this is going to lead, and then you find something, and it's like, oh, I couldn't have possibly figured this, even though I set it out in the first episode from reading this book.
To me, this episode is it's like the moment in Sherlock Holmes books whenever you get to the end of the story and he lays out all the clues systematically, because that's basically what all the episodes before this have been. They've been the little building block clues. But Edward was like the scientist he is, thinking, I have to go out, I have to find the answers, I have to dig for them. It's like, no, the answers were quite literally in front of you the whole time, your whole childhood, and you didn't even notice because you hated your dad.
Well, and when you think about it, take it a step further as well, because I know you brought it up from when he reads the book in episode 1, but when we see in episode 2 or 3, the flashback episode where they discover what they're doing, look at all they had to do just to bring their mother back.
Yeah.
Alphonse loses his body and is just a floating soul in a piece of armor.
Well, and
Edward gave up his arm and his leg just to get him back. Well, gave up his arm to transmute his mother, gave up his leg to get his brother. Yeah, gave up his leg to get his brother back. Yeah.
Well, and the neat thing is, one of the biggest clues was literally the first episode when we find out that Roy Mustang specifically came to Resin Bowl to search for their dad, but then realizes, hey, these kids are clearly the progeny of the guy I'm looking for. I may not have found the one I was looking for, but I bet these two can do it. It's like, but you have to remember, he probably knows they just did a human transmutation. Well, hell, he does know they did a human transmutation and survived to tell the tale. And if you have to figure, if he's willing to work with these kids, knowing they've committed an ultimate blasphemy, and he was looking for the guy who was basically their dad and probably the only person better at it than they are, what does that say about their dad? He's already done this. Hell, he may have already done it on a scale even they couldn't imagine.
Well, if Roy was any proper military cop or cop in general, well, kids, even though you're only kids and we should leniency, it's juvie for you.
And that's the thing. He doesn't. I mean, you have to remember, this, not only is it a holy crime, crime against the laws of God and whatnot, but it is a state crime. It's literally a crime in Almestria, because we know, the kind of severe penalties for even practicing base alchemy without the state's government's permission.
Yep.
Imagine what a human transmutation would get you.
Well, which you could, but they also say if you're state or even if you're a regular alchemist, since we're on the laws, they say you can transmute things without certain things. You can't build things without certain things. And I'm pretty sure if you practice mad science, which is what this is, it'd be like, okay, life in prison or death.
But I mean, that's the brilliant thing about it. Every interaction, every character, every episode, you see the building blocks and the clues. And hell, Edward himself, like I said, in the first episode, literally lays the foundation for what they need to do to get the Philosopher's Stone. But again, he's not thinking the way you have to. It's like the Batman syndrome. He wants to save everyone, but he doesn't want to sacrifice anyone.
Well, it's like...
It's the same problem Dale Cooper has in Twin Peaks. When he has the chess game with Wyndham Earl, he's got his mind in the hero complex. He doesn't want to have to sacrifice or lose anyone. But it's a game of chess. You have to. That's how the game is played. It's impossible, And again, the basic principle of alchemy. One cannot gain something of significant value without sacrificing something of an equivalent value in exchange. Edward knows this principle to be true. It's the very foundation for how he thinks. And yet, this whole time, he's been actively acting against it.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to bring his mother back, which he knows, or at least he should realize, being the brilliant alchemist he is, that that's not allowed. He does all this stuff. He prattles on about, how he's trying to uphold the principles of the equivalent exchange. And yet at the same time, he's doing everything in his power to defy them.
Well,
just like his dad.
Well, and again, it's like, if you look at it, if he didn't bring Alphonse's soul back, Alphonse would probably be technically dead, except, he did the forsaken art of bringing someone back from the dead, essentially. And, it's like, you look at it, and that's why I tell people that the original can't stack up to Brotherhood, which I completely disagree with, because, again, in Brotherhood, where, yes, every episode connects to each other, but it's boom, 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 a lot of political intrigue, a lot of huge stuff happening all at once, to where, the process, which me and Jherick have already talked about, even though we've only finished part 1 of Brotherhood and still have to get to the last part 2, it's like we've even said to each other watching the original here, everything moves so fast in Brotherhood. It's like there's not a lot of time to process what you're doing. But in this one, it is a process because, again, the Philosopher's Stone is not just a catalyst or a MacGuffin. It's the physical, real thing. It's the whole point of what I thought this manga and show was going to be. And then you see Brotherhood or the manga. Oh, it's father.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brotherhood fans. I don't like how father was the placeholder for the MacGuffin Philosopher's Stone. Oh, it's all about the Philosopher's Stone. Oh, look, there's a bigger political intrigue going on. Who the hell's Father Underground? What the fuck is this? Why does the Philosopher's Stone exist and he drinks it like a thing of wine? Good vintage. I need more of the Chateau Goulicourt.
Oh, or better still. That's the thing, Edward. You can run from it. You can hide from it. Fear it all you like, but I am inevitable.
Yeah. Well, this show's impossible.
But that's what I love about this. Like, Edward, again, is kind of, got the little bit of the hero mindset mixed with, like, the hero's journey, which is kind of ironic because, tarot-wise, I would actually kind of place him as being the magician, the second card, and maybe Roy Mustang kind of, even though he's the flame alchemist, being more the fool. Because honestly, given the fact he didn't see the betrayals coming, maybe just a little. And also kind of trying to do what's right, but not, taking that leap of faith without fully understanding the terms. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, I would classify maybe Father as being the hermit, or at least the good version of Father. Spoilers, by the way.
Yeah.
I would classify Trisha Elric, his wife, as being strength. Alphonse would, let me think, Alphonse would probably be the Hierophant, strangely enough. But I mean, the thing is, like, it's kind of weird because piece by piece, it's almost like a detective story up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how the ultimate culmination of this is the clue that Dr. Marcoh gives them. It's like, you need to find the
truth within the truth, or truths within
well,
the truth.
he tells him like, I left my notes at the at Central, which of course he means the library, which accidentally gets destroyed by the fighting by Scar and Lust and Greed.
Gluttony.
Oh, Gluttony. Sorry, Gluttony. Yeah. But I love the fact that it kind of looks like Gluttony and Lust were going to destroy the place anyways,
Yes.
which to me kind of indicates the fact that they knew that the brothers wouldn't really need the physical book. They would find a way. I mean, kind of really shows the confidence they have in them.
And to give, since you mentioned that, to give a fine note, in Japanese, Scar is actually shocked where when Lust says, we can't have you or the boys interfering, we need the Fullmetal one to finish our work. And he's like, wait, you're using the boys? And then in English, it's like, I love how Scar deduces, like, right then, he's like, Fullmetal Alchemist, you're using him. Yes, and we can't have you meddling with that. And I like how Scar, because we talked about how Scar seems way more intelligent in the original than he does in Brotherhood. And I like how he pieces that together per his intelligence and probably street smarts on the fly, that whoever these homunculi are, they're dangerous. They shouldn't exist. So not only does this look like a woman I know vis-a-vis entangled with his brother, we still don't know who this is, but we saw another memory where that plays back for him again. And he's like, that can't be her, but you have her face. Wait, and you're using Fullmetal Alchemist too? Well, I must stop this. Uh-oh, they're coming at me. And honestly, I like this fight with the homunculi, the one we've seen before, because Scar flipping blasts Gluttony's head out his back, and Gluttony still grabs a hold of him to start twisting his ribs, and then he takes off his arm, and then Lush joins the fray, and they're both coming at him looking absolutely psychotic, and he even goes, well, this is too much for me. See ya!
Well, and also what I love about this is, in a sense, I can imagine this ratifies his belief that he's doing what's right by killing the state alchemist, which it's kind of funny. He came to the right conclusion for the wrong reasons, much like a lot of religious zealots do, really. It's kind of funny because, yeah, the state alchemists technically are some of the most dangerous people, but it's more because of, like, the cause, the people driving them, the motivation of the military. If it wasn't for shit like that, maybe the state alchemists could be a damn good force for good, like the Elrics.
Well, and not to basically rain on your parade if you want to talk about that scene too, but what we learned from Scars, and I could be wrong about this because it's been a while since I've seen the original show. I love how where Scar starts this whole thing thinking it's just about vengeance, because he tells this little Ishvalan kid who he runs into named Rick, saying that, Rick's like, well, you could stay with us because apparently there's refugee camps all over. And Rick's like, well, you could stay with us. And he's like, no, what I've done, I'm on a mission of God, but I've done things that God cannot forgive me for. But what I love about that is he's looking at his arm saying this to Rick, where it was just about personal vengeance to him. I think with this run-in with the homunculi and knowing they want to use the Fullmetal Alchemist, he's like, well, not only do I have to take out Fullmetal now, this has gone from vengeance to whoever these evil creatures are. This is much deeper. So now I have to refine. Like I said, I could be wrong, but I think he's like, I have to refine my mission now because this isn't just about vengeance anymore.
Well,
There's something deeper going on here.
That's the thing. Like, yes, him killing the state alchemist is a horrible thing, just as them wiping out the Ishvalans is a terrible thing. But the thing of it is, it's like he does kind of have more or less the right idea. The way the state alchemy is being practiced is wrong. It's not so much the people being wrong; it's more or less the message and the message and the mission that driving them is.
Yep.
In the same way, you could say, like, perhaps, I don't know, maybe ideas like Desert Storm were possibly an idea that could have been good, but of course the leadership, the idea behind it, the truth of what we were doing was bad. But the necessity of what we were trying to do, trying to make a better way in the Middle East, a good idea executed horribly. Or heck, Reagan's war on drugs, for instance.
Yeah, well, to make you bounce off that, I mentioned it at the end of my review, but it's a little side note where Maze Hughes is talking to Roy Mustang on the phone, and he says that he's already told Roy that, in Central, they're blaming Boss Ron's death on him, and people were saying how he's rumoring to move up the chain. So I know people said the political intrigue wasn't as huge as it was in Brotherhood, and I'll be honest with you, it's not. But I like how it's still there. and it's grounding me to know it was still here in the original, but I like how if you're smart about it, it's more hidden. Where in Brotherhood, I hate to say it, once they pull on that single thread, where usually in real life it takes a few more threads. And I'm not trying to shit on your Brotherhood, but pull a single thread. Oh my God, down comes the whole canopy. Well, so the whole government's doing this. Oh.
And what I love about this one in particular is we see that Roy is a much more shrewd character in this, because when Hughes Mays tells him this, you can kind of discern from what he's saying that he's already using this information, because he's going to figure out, like, if people are spreading these rumors about me and going with it, then I already know who my enemies are and where to start looking for my allies against them. And it's a really neat thing because, Roy is cocky in this like he was in the first one, but he's at least smart enough to know, I'm going to have enemies going into this already. Yeah. But that kind of simplifies the job of me figuring out who's on my side and who's not.
Well, and like Mace Hughes says, as a joke, but like, people are coming against you, Roy, so I can suggest one thing. You need to get yourself a wife.
Yeah.
You loser.
Again, Daddy Hughes is best Hughes.
Yeah.
But
sir, you can't take up the phone line.
Oh, and I love how it's obvious to everybody just how obnoxious of a daddy he is.
Yeah.
But it's why we love you, Mace Hughes, with all our hearts. But probably not as much as you love your daughter. But getting back to like the clue. So of course, in the middle of his scuffle with gluttony and lust, they accidentally knock over the candle bras, and of course the candles fall and set the place ablaze. I mean, they were both looking to destroy the place anyway, so hey, happy.
Well, and their fighting started destroying half the place anyway. So it's like whatever the fire didn't get, their destruction and lust chopping things in half, and Gluttony just being a tank, and him and his damn arm just exploding everything, cats and dogs living together.
Mass hysteria. But I love how, once it's like, he realizes, okay, the central library's gone. I know. I'll just use my alchemy to restore it to what it was. Whoosh.
Was that a part of your alchemy, Ed?
And of course, it's thinking like he's almost defeated. And then Mace Hughes comes in with the clue he needs that, how perturbed he is because, Central had all the arrest records, all the prior conviction reports. You have any idea how hard it's going to be for me to try to recreate all that? And he's like, wait a minute, were there only 2 people working at the library? It's like, and there's, I remember there was a mousy little girl with glasses there, brown hair. It's like, oh, her. Yeah, we had to let her go. She was getting too distracted reading books all the time.
Yeah, Sheska.
And I love how he's like, this girl, is she still in Central? It's like, well, yeah, she has a place not too far from here. So they go there and they find out, this girl is basically, she's got a photographic memory. Anything she looks at or reads, she's going to memorize it perfectly.
Honestly, if you wanted to be messed up, she'd be what's his name? Burgess Meredith's character from that Twilight Zone episode where the nuclear bombs go off and he's got all the books and then her glasses break. It's not fair. There was so much time now. Or
if you want a good DC Comics reference and one of our favorite characters of all time, Tim Drake.
Yeah.
Tim Drake's got a photographic memory, kids. Let that sink in.
Photographic and I think eidetic too, just like Sheldon Cooper.
Now, interestingly enough, there's I think also the second Mr. Terrific, the African American one, also has a photographic memory, and he's a polymath.
But really quick, because there are 2 Mr. Terrifics.
Yeah, the first one, the white one, was the one that was, I believe, in like one continuity, was actually his adopted father. But like time altering shenanigans. Now he's like the guy who inspired Mr. Terrific.
Whee!
And by the way, he actually met him twice due to time shenanigans. Yeah, any of you who've seen that video
time warp again.
But anyways, so first they have and also if you wanted to, given her love of books and her obsession with them, hello, read or die.
Yeah. As you made that mention when we were watching the anime, which again,
hey, if she grows her hair out, she could be her.
And turns it jet black or more of a dark brown brunette.
But I mean, hey, it's good. But first you have to rescue her from the pile of books that collapsed on her.
Yeah. To where she, in her mind, makes it like an epic adventure, and then they have a little box where it's like reality, where she's just searching, poking at some books, and then just fall on top of her.
I love it too. Plus, they're trying to ask her like, do you remember Dr. Marcoh's book? It's like Marcoh. Oh yes, leather binding, lots of notes and connotations. It's like she keeps rambling. I was like, never mind. Can you recreate it? It's like, of course, I can remember everything I read perfectly. And I mean, it's brilliant and plus, this is a character you probably don't even remember after you watch it because, yeah, the first time they go to the central library, she's there. She still has her job.
Yep.
So it's brilliant that, what's his name? Edward
remembered, yeah.
Being the absolute god fucking wunderkind that he is, remembered that she used to be employed there.
Yep.
So they get her to recreate the book, and it's a cookbook. It's a cookbook. It's a cookbook.
Yeah. How to build, man.
That's what's brilliant about it. This is the part I absolutely am gonna nerd gush over. Now, why would I nerd gush over the idea that his clue to the Elrics would be a cookbook? Well, guess what, children? It's weird alchemy history time with Professors Boku and Jackass. Because one of the oldest phrases in all of magic pertains to alchemy. Alchemy is God working in his kitchen. Alchemy is the recipe to life in God's kitchen. Yeah, he hid the clue on how to make the Philosopher's Stone in a cookbook.
Yeah.
And remember, people, in the very first episode, what does Edward do when he's countering that Rose when she's arguing with him? If you really wanted to bring someone back from the dead, these are the basic ingredients you would need to do so. He had the answer in his head the whole time, but his thinking, his way of processing what he needed to do was all wrong because he was too focused on the idea of it being kind of like a heroic scavenger hunt. So I'm going to have to go here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go. It's like, no, you had the answer the whole time. You just weren't looking at the problem in the right way.
Well, or if you look at the fight with Father Cornello in the second episode where he's fighting him, what I love is how also you can even say desperation to just find this thing and use it, because when he thought he found the Philosopher's Stone and was going to take it for Cornello and the fake stone breaks, he's like, wait a minute, why did it break? It was a fake, all this way for a fake. I mean, again, so and when you have human hubris and you're also desperate, you're not thinking with logic. You're thinking, okay, we found this thing. Let's do this shit. Oh my God, we're going to be killing a lot of people by doing this.
But that's what's so brilliant about it, because each step of the way, he's been led on all these false positives, all these times when he thinks he's going to, get a lucky break, and only to, wind up right across similar situations like with the two fake Elric brothers and those fake stones. And it's so funny how every step of the way he's seeing the same lesson, the same cautionary tale, and the same outcome, already having the answer. But ultimately, it took him getting Marcoh's little clue in the form of a cookbook. And what happens when he finally reaches the correct answer? He realizes it. It's like what you would have to do to make the Philosopher's Stone. The main ingredient, the thing that really makes it cook, human souls.
Yep.
And it's so hilarious that this answer has literally been there from episode 1, reiterated multiple times throughout their journey. But it was only like in a moment of quiet study when he's not, in his usual either fight or flight or find the answer mode, when he's just kind of sitting down in a calm manner and reviewing things in a methodical manner scientifically, that it finally comes to him, because his thinking is finally being allowed to align itself in a way that allows him to see the answer correctly.
Well, because as I say, and I know you put it this way, I would have said earlier that Edward is pathos, Edward is logos and Alphonse is pathos, and they both were looking at it as, even though Alphonse is the more emotional, Edward is the more logistical, but they were both desperate to find this thing to fix themselves, because, Alphonse is doing it to give his brother his arm and leg back. Edward's doing it to get Alphonse's whole body back. They're like just thinking, and like Jherick was saying, throughout this whole show, They see the evil people can do. They see many of the good people can do. So it's a great thing. And then to figure out by episode 18, this is what we need to do. Well, whether evil or good, this is fucked up that you need countless humans, to make a flipping Philosopher's Stone.
And it's funny because you could see every episode, every interaction, every character, every victory and defeat, in essence, is like an ingredient to this story. A mild clue that melds within the pot of the narrative to create the ultimate recipe that leads them to the truth. Every person, every moment, every lesson learned.
Well, and I hate to say this too, because it goes on with it, but it just hit me right now during this interview when you were talking about that and we were piecing all this together. When Marcoh says, when you find the truth within the truth, you'll see it, but maybe you won't really want to. So every episode, even going back to their past when they started the journey, when we see what happens to them, leading to Central, leading to where they are now, still searching for the stone, they get closer and closer to the truth. And you notice how with every episode, the hardship got a little harder, or their way of getting there was hard. They made so many sacrifices, both his brothers have, and then they get there. To quote, I mean, I'm not the Witcher scene, but basically make that look. Fuck.
Well, and when you think about it, every episode introduces what could be considered like an ingredient to it. Like the first town is a town of stone, with like the fake Philosopher's Stone they're chasing, where you see like the fountain spewing wine, because that's an exotic thing in the Middle East. Which stone, like the stone of like those old wood, those old stone fire ovens, wine, which you use in cooking a lot. Then you got like the town of water, which is also a primary ingredient in cooking. And who's our primary antagonist there? A woman who's, playing the part of a thief or whatever role she has to, in order to keep the people hoping, to keep the town alive, to keep that lie that fuels the town. Kind of like the city of Florence, Venice, Italy, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got like every town introduces something different. Like you could almost say the
Red Water town, that mountain forest town.
Yeah, like the purification of of that through the plants of the trees. Herbs, which you use for cooking, spices, or the one where like he got his legs stolen by that girl, and he had that chat with that war veteran, which you could almost consider to be like an allegory for the soul, because. Think about it. The soul of a soldier who has taken lives, who has seen lives taken, a man who wears the weight of what he has done and what has been done to him. You could say it's like the weight of the human soul, tempered by all of life's lessons being imparted upon this young man who's walking the same path. Every little episode has been one more ingredient, and when you combine it together, the truth of truth is laid before you. The recipe is there. You have the knowledge. You have the will. Well, maybe do you have the will? I mean, again, it's like Marcoh said, when the truth of truth is before you, will you want to acknowledge it?
And then as we learn with, again...
kind of sorry for rambling there.
Oh, no, it's all right. Because again, it really supports the episode and what you're talking about.
But what I love though is like, I'm sorry, but I love how like in the quest, the pursuit of trying to find this girl, to get Marcoh's notes, to get the clue, he also does her and by extension the Almestrian military a favor, because he points out to Maze Hughes, Maze, all those arrest and conviction records got destroyed. Her getting kicked out of the military, wouldn't that be among those records? And with her basically being able to memorize every book she's read, since she probably read every book in that library, maybe just leave out the part where she got arrested. She got kicked out for not doing her job one too many times, and you get your library back along with all those arrest records you lost. Yeah, and it's funny too, because no matter how bad the hardship gets along the trip, again, we notice, as Edward always does, whether, by hook or crook, whether for the right reason or wrong, he always winds up doing something that more positively benefits the world around him, like soldiers are supposed to do. And this is kind of the difference between Edward and the Almestrian military. Yeah, they're still part of the military, But in a very real sense, they're doing it for all the right reasons. For protection, for defense, to honor and defend that which we hold most dear, the people we wish to protect. It's, in a very real sense, you can see that Edward and Al are what the Elmestrian military needs to become.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that other people have kind of caught on to this. My boy Alexander Louis Armstrong, for instance, Roy Mustang, Reza Hawkeye. But you can tell in a very real sense, Ed and Al are the culmination of this dream. They are the heroes. But now they're going to have their biggest test because now they know what they have to do.
Yeah.
And
how,
again,
and how do they get there and what's waiting for them? That's
God help and bless them on their journey because it will be a dark one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, again, because, again, you could always say that even though the show is broken up into 2 seasons, you have, like, right now, I would say would be the ultimate climax, and now it's the falling climax, or the falling act, where you start putting everything together. Sometimes that can last a lot longer, but you can tell as soon as they discover it, it's like, well, okay, now we have this information. Now we know what to do.
And plus,
what are we going to do with it?
The horror on Ed's voice when he realizes the truth of what must be done. Again, Vic Mignogna just... Sorry. Anybody who ever has to make that choice, again, God bless you, Pilgrim. That is a very hard choice to have to make.
Mm-hmm.
But again,
didn't think that scene made you that emotional.
Well, I mean, again, I told you this, but I guess the fans wouldn't know this. I had a grandmother who had a very, very slow and painful death. And because a doctor did not realize her heart condition was getting worse. So, and she was an absolute angel of a woman, but the pain was way more than her mind could handle. She begged my mother to kill her to ease her suffering. I've never seen my mom be that sad or upset in her entire life. To this day, I don't think she's ever told me the doctor's name, and probably a good thing for that, to be honest with you. I love my Nana. To know that she would beg Mom for something like that, just... I'm sorry. But again, this is why the brothers, they are built of sterner stuff. But then again, we already knew that. Having metal grafted to their bodies, staying awake the whole time, that level of pain is not something that is easy to fake or to try to act on. That is not something that is just simple to do. You don't just flip that switch easily. For Vic Mignogna to pull that performance off to that level that is not even something I would ever wish to have to do under any circumstances, not real or fake. And he nailed that performance to a T, to absolute laser precision. And that was early on in his career, if I'm not mistaken. So that just shows the brilliance.
Still early, because I think Mignogna, from what our friend Zombie told us, was acting since I think the late 80s to early 90s. So he definitely is a veteran of the game. And again, I think Vic Mignogna, believe it or not, is like many of our voice actors now in his 60s, believe it or not. So again,
yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong, maybe late 50s or 60s, but I know Mignogna is not young. He's actually up there in age, but
well, I mean,
still looks good for his age, of course. But,
I think the only time I have ever heard a scream or a cry of horror on that level done by a male actor potentially better would be the guy who did the voice of Zach Fair in the Advent Children movie. If you've no, wait, not Zach Fair, sorry, Cloud Strife, when he gets the Buster Sword from Zach as he's dying. You know the scene I'm talking about. Yeah, in that movie, the cry he does when Zach Fair dies right in front of him when he gets the Buster Sword is perhaps the single best tortured scream I've ever heard. Arguably the best ever, but Vic Mignogna came that close to supplanting it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it just really shows the gravity of the situation because, again, they've already suffered that pain once. And as our favorite two-hearted superhero from the planet Gallifrey has once said, because the alternative is burning, and I've seen burning, and I never want to see it again. Again, kudos to you, Matt Smith and David Tennant, for one of the best moments in Doctor Who history. But this, again, kind of leads us to some other great moments. Like, I haven't really talked about the brilliance of the fight between Scar, greed, and gluttony and lust. Because again, we've seen Lust do her thing as a spy, and good Lord, is that shit ever... Sorry. But seeing her just let out the kitty claws and start scratching, whoa. I hate to say this, I think I like the way she fights better in this than in Brotherhood. High blasphemy, I know. But seeing...
Well, she lives longer, too, because by this point, she was already dead.
And honestly, just the absolute psychotic bitch in her eyes when she's doing it was so good.
I know that's not justice, but yeah, just that.
And plus, gluttony was just, oh my god, this guy's creep factor is going up.
Well, yeah, well, again, because what he did in Brotherhood was creepy too, but again, I just love how gets his skull fucking blasted out, and he just like, all right, I'm going to grab your ribs and I'm going to twist.
I mean, this show is just blowing my mind every episode. Plus, again, we get to see Mace Hughes showing just how much of an amazing intelligence officer he is.
Mm-hmm.
Again, giving Roy Mustang his heads up. Roy Mustang just setting the screen on fire whenever he's there.
Yeah.
And I mean, everything is just, again, going back to the recipe allegory. When you got all the right ingredients, the actors, the lines, the dialogue, the delivery, every piece so perfectly calculated and meticulously crafted.
Well, and again, to basically also tell you guys once again, because I know the rest of it will be in season 2 where they finish the first half of the manga. But again, this original show was only written and done with half of Hiromu Arikawa's manga complete. So I give not only Hiromu Arikawa, who helped out with the show, credit, the original show, but I give the creators who were given the go-ahead to make the show, even with half the manga done, they made a great series. And I know some folks say, oh, well, Brotherhood's better. And I'm like, again, to me, that's up for debate, because Brotherhood is good, and I do like part 2, but maybe it's because of my loss in faith of current superhero movies and loving superheroes for so long and how Hollywood has ruined it. And then maybe not even how they ruined it, just the oversaturation of superhero films in the last 25, almost 30 years now. But it's too romanticized and too storybooky, where this is actually more of if you were reading a journal based on philosophy. Because again, case in point, the book, The Alchemist. I know that is a fictional book. It is based on a work of fiction. But The Alchemist was also written by the author to basically discover in the Middle East and throughout Europe all the people who have done things trying to find Nicholas Flamel's stone, or, it was about Nicholas Flamel making the stone and what alchemists journey with. How an alchemist's life, not as upfront and exciting as this show, of course, but it really is a journey of discovery. What are you going to find? Are you going to like it? Are you going to still try to search for what you're searching for, et cetera, et cetera? And again, this is more that tale where, again, you guys can hate me for keep saying it, the Philosopher's Stone is the catalyst. It's upfront, the point of this whole thing. It's not just, okay, it's a MacGuffin for father to drink and keep making homunculi and superpowered super soldiers and oh, look, we already dropped the fact that the Führer's won and all these other things. And oh, look, he has a legion of soldiers and they're just randomly put together by random things. And I'm like...
You know what that reminds me of?
What?
Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. The Holy Grail was just basically what got Indy to go on that quest, but in the end, it was really all about him and his dad. Yeah, and the friends they helped along the way.
Yeah, but see, that's done a lot better than Brotherhood. I really think if that's what Brotherhood wanted to do, It would have been a
Well,
little.
no, I mean, like, to me, that's what the original is. It's
Oh,
like
oh.
Raiders of the Lost. I mean, not Raiders. The Last Crusade.
Yes.
Because
Well,
yeah, I mean, if you think about it,
absolutely.
the Philosopher's Stone is just what gets them to go out on this journey where they're ultimately changing the world for the better. Now, granted, if you wanted to say that maybe Brotherhood had more similarities with, like, I don't know, Temple of Doom, for instance, flawed, but it's still a masterpiece.
Oh, why I wouldn't even say that. I would say because I enjoyed the movie and I liked it. 4 and 5, but execution for 4 and 5 was like.
Yeah, let's just say I don't talk about 4 and 5. But hey, I mean, it's not going to be the last time that happens.
Well, that's why I can see why you choose Temple of Doom. Because me, I still like Temple of Doom, and it's worthy to be in the trilogy. 4 and 5 I enjoy, but
I mean, I'll just end that part by saying it looks like James Gunn is going to fire a kryptonite bullet on Superman and kill him and Guy Gardner in one shot.
Oh God, really? Where'd you hear that?
No. I mean, as an analogy for that movie. Because, I mean, hey, if anyone's going to kill Superman, it looks like it's going to be James Gunn, and his movie's going to be the kryptonite bullet that does it.
Well, not that I'm worried about it. On a little side note before we get to the cast and final thoughts, I don't know if you've been seeing it, but and I'm not hating Denis Villeneuve, guys. I think Denis Villeneuve is a great director. He's done good on Dune and stuff, but apparently Denis Villeneuve, the Dune director, is going to do the next James Bond movie. And I'm like,
yeah,
Denis, and I'm like, interesting, but if people are right and the next James Bond film is going to be like he also did Blade Runner 2049, I'm like, it's going to have that slow pacing and epic build. I'm like, I mean, James Bond can get epic build, but it's more of a detective, but yet action and stuff in between. I can't see. If Denis Villeneuve can prove me wrong, awesome, but I can't see Denis Villeneuve doing it.
Hey, call me old-fashioned, but could we just ask Spielberg to handle that movie? I
would like Spielberg to finally get a chance. Yeah. I mean, because Indiana Jones was supposed to be his thing of doing 007. I would still love to see Steven Spielberg do a 007 movie, which was one of his longest dreams. He wanted to direct a James Bond film.
Whoever was in charge of Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego cartoon, why not them?
Absolutely.
But, like the last thing I will mention, I absolutely love the scene where we see Scar find that, that small little refugee camp of the people. Because honestly, to me, this is one of the most brilliant, touching scenes because, like, it is kind of true. After what you've done, there really is no going back. But the thing is, he's not. I love that he kind of lies to the kid because that's not the real reason he's leaving. I mean, it is part of it. And he probably now feels a little bit of shame for what he's done.
Oh, yeah.
But the real truth of it is he's not staying there because he knows if he does, the Almestrian military will come looking for him and they'll just wipe out the whole camp.
Yes.
And then they'll realize there's more survivors and start wiping them out. So in a sense, yeah, I applaud you for doing what's right, but you can see the heartbreak in his eyes when he wants to stay. He wants to be cleansed. He wants to walk away. But at the same time, he knows he can't. He's already stained his hands with the bloods of innocents. And he knows if he stays, there's a chance, his sins will leak out to the rest of the people. And that's not what he wants.
And that was so much better than what they did in Brotherhood, where he's speaking to his old master and he's like, I cannot, I have to see this through. Brooding.
Honestly, to me, it's so touching because you can see that, yes, he knows he cannot walk away from this path. He wants it too much, but he doesn't want it to hurt his people, which I love.
And that's what I loved about the scene too. To add to what you said is the grandpa and Rick's grandpa, because that's because all it is the grandpa and that's Rick's grandfather.
And the scene with that little girl begging him to stay reminds me so much of.
That's a boy. His name's Rick.
Oh, sorry, it's a boy. Well, I mean, hey, if the Almestrian military has anything to say about it, they can fix that. But I love how it reminds me of one of the last scenes in Parenthood, where like the little kid that got adopted by the one brother, he's like, "Daddy's going away again, isn't he?" Yes, he is. Cool. He's not coming back. No. Would you like to stay with us? It's that energy. Sorry, people, but Parenthood is my favorite Steve Martin movie for a reason. And again, God bless you. the people responsible for that movie, because that was, again, the single best Steve Martin movie ever.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even at
One
me.
of his.
That one, Grand Canyon, and a bit of an underrated gem, Three Amigos.
Yeah.
But I guess now this is the part where we talk about our favorite voice actors. And spoiler warning, we all know who I'm picking.
Really? I don't know who you're picking.
Oh, it's obvious.
Because I went down a huge list.
There's only one person who can come out as king on this one. Mr. Manana, congratulations. Your throne. Take your crown. My king. You win.
Yeah. Well, I did give it to Edward Elric, Vic Mignogna, and Romy Paku, but in my opinion, and this was just me, I forgot who I said, but I went down pretty much quite a few of the list. To reiterate, guys, for me, Edward, Alphonse, Scar, Hughes, Ross, Lust, Lutney. I mentioned also Block and Himotang and Cheska. I think for me though, to tell you, Jherick, since you weren't in that single thing, for me it was Ross, because I thought Meredith McCoy, being the unspoken sister, mother, caring about these boys, knowing they needed protection, but saying, look, these kids may be smart, they may be prodigies, they may be alchemists, I've never seen them or worked with them, but they're still children. They need our thing. And that's why I also gave it to Hughes too, because Hughes' line says, well, they may be children and they may be smart, but this is why we need to support them, because without our support, they'll crumble. And I just love how he told Ross that. And she gets it, but she also doesn't understand. But at the same time, it's the two things of where the father gets it, but maybe the mother doesn't fully understand it, or the big sister doesn't understand it, however you want to look at it. But
well, Ross was my fourth place finish. She came very close. Hughes edged her out for part 3 because he went from, basically manic Daddy Hughes to, and I love the way you mentioned that, because him speaking to her very calmly and yet kind of frankly really demonstrates that, yeah, this guy would have made an amazing daddy if fully he could have. Sorry.
No, it's all right. Well,
the way he explains it to her is so perfect, though, because you can see in that moment, she definitely has, the emotions of a mother. She wants to be a mother. All women do.
Mm-hmm.
But the way he explains it to her is very father-like, in the way that only a father can explain to a mother. Like, yes, these kids are putting themselves in danger, but they're going to do it anyways, with whether we say so or not. So the best thing to do is to support them as best we can in this endeavor.
Well, and that's why I was going to mention, and I think everybody who watches this, like my short reviews or even the live ones, that I give you the reins for, that you and I do together.
Now, sorry.
I was just going to say, you see why I like Hughes's build up and death in this one more, because the interactions he's had with them, how he talks about them, the setup for it, it's so much better. Because in Brotherhood, I'm dead by, I think it was episode 8 or 10.
Not to mention, we get to see him interact with more people in this one. And it really shows why his death hits everyone so hard. The way he speaks with Ross, his friendship with Roy, the way he communicates with all the other soldiers, with Edward, with Al. You get to see more of him just connecting with everyone.
And honestly, I liked it. I really did. But the only episode we get where that's conveyed as Brotherhood is where, Winry goes to Mace Hughes' Gracio's birthday party.
Oh,
and that's a great scene, and it is also there in the manga, almost word for word. It's a great scene, but I'm like, you don't get none of the structure or the context or the relationship. I mean, It's sort of told through his emotions and what he's telling Winry, but I like how in not Brotherhood, the original, you get to see it to where he speaks it. We've seen him interact with them on multiple occasions so far. He likes both the Elrics. He's really been there for Edward when he's needed him, as a detective, as a lieutenant colonel as he is now.
Plus, in my mind, I'm just thinking, had he lived long enough, we know he would have tried to get Edward to hook up with his daughter.
I have no doubt about that. But no, that's those are good. Those are good things there.
But
So,
as for my my second pick, what was the name of the kid Scar was talking to at the end?
Rick.
This
Jamie Marchi, Eriko Kawasaki, which again for us too is I forgot to mention Meredith McCoy, Mitsuki Saigo, and Hughes, Sunny Strait, Keiji Fujiwara.
Yeah, that
Just
was
to get proper note.
that was a very powerful and subtly delivered, cry from a kid wanting someone to stay, wanting someone to be like that big brother or that uncle that they've never had. And to know that he has to turn her down to protect her. I mean, him. To protect him and the rest of the village. Okay, seriously, why are there so many Astolfos in anime? But anyways. What? He's French. You know it. But anyways, but yeah, I mean, just the quiet, reserved pain of wanting him to stay. But, I mean, it's one of those moments, again, parenthood, so many other things we've talked about that really kind of convey that quiet sadness, that reserved pain that you feel when you know this can't be a thing, but deep down you want it so
you
bad.
want it badly, yeah.
Sorry.
It's all right.
But yeah, I mean,
I should have told you to take your meds.
Oh God, yes. Dude, jackass, go take your Ritalin. I mean, I'm not on it anymore, but you know what I mean. Anyways, I mean, such a great episode. And honestly, it really perfectly sets up everything we're going to be heading into.
Yeah.
And it really just conveys just the weight of everything that is writing on this for everyone. The homunculi, the Elmestri military, the Elrics.
Yeah.
It just I mean, to me, it's kind of funny that Edwards, wears the red coat with the insignia on the back, because to me it also kind of reminds me of Archer from Fate Stay Night, the man who foolishly followed another man's dream, seeking to become a hero of justice. And I love how when he sees Emiya in the past when he's trying to kill him, that's hell you're walking into, boy. And it's so appropriate because in a sense they both walked into a kind of hell, carrying the weight of the world's expectations, helping everyone along the way. And what's the coat they're wearing? Cardinal red.
Yep.
The holy robe, the robes of a holy man who walks a path of hardship, seeking to bring faith and redemption to all who would follow.
Well, and on a little side note, because I know we still have one more episode on the disc we're on, and there's another disc that explains it. And what I love about it is the coming episodes are all going to encompass that, again, there was something bigger going on here because I forgot what the episode's called, but Laboratory 5 is going to be coming up in the next episode from what we see from the previews. And as you've seen with Brotherhood, if you guys have read the manga, if you guys have seen the original show here, you know what that uncovers and leads. And again, my bias, I think it was better here, but again, that's just my bias. And hey, but it's me because again, it's just what it is. But Jherick gave his final thoughts there, and again, great things, Jherick. Sorry, I know you were getting a little emotional there, but I mean, hey, it happens. I do too.
I really should have taken my medicine first.
Well, that's why seeing all this emotion from you, I was shocked because I'm like, I did not. Oh,
again. There we go.
Well, there we go. All right. Well, all right. Well, okay. I don't know if we're on, but